Hi, this is Truth of the People, and I'm making this video addressed specifically to ppsimmons, but I want any and all creationists on my channel right now to watch this video. And I want to explain exactly why I don't debate creationists. This video was inspired by the recent events that are depicted somewhat in Holy Hallucinations 37 between the living dinosaur and ppsimmons, where PP and ShockofGod challenged the living dinosaur to a debate, and he flatly refused for very obvious reasons, to which they, and I mean ppsimmons in particular, jumped and said, "Ha! See, if he had any point to offer, he would have accepted that debate challenge." Let me explain why I don't like debating in general, whether it's debating about theism or creationism, etc. First of all, just a personal note, I don't think my public speaking skills are adequate enough for a debate. And I may seem decently collected on camera when I'm on YouTube, but that's because I've had several takes of maybe one or two ideas that I want to say. So I practice a few times. I don't always have a script, but I generally go through what I'm about to say in my head, and that's why I can seem collected in my videos. But doing a debate is a little bit different, and it's just not my style. Just because we don't accept your offer to do a live debate doesn't mean that we don't hold a tenable position. It just means that maybe we don't speak as well publicly as our opponents or our detractors. And I'd like to make that my second point, that just because we don't sound as verbally collected as others doesn't mean that we don't have a point to make. I would rather people focus on the strength of my arguments and my evidence rather than how well I can present them. And unfortunately, it's kind of inevitable that in a debate, people do tend to focus on how you present your arguments. And they use that as a sort of indication to show how strong they think your arguments are. My third reason is that it's very difficult to find an unbiased moderator. There will always be accusations of biased and double dealings, things like that, and it's really hard to find someone who is just willing to keep time, let me know when I have time to speak, let me know if there's like a minute left, moderate certain questions, like what they think is appropriate versus what they think isn't. It's really hard to find someone unbiased like that. The last reason is because it's very hard to fact check in a debate. Unless you are prepared with all of these sources, people can inevitably make up bullshit and pass it on as a formal argument. And sometimes it might take you by surprise and you have nothing to say. And what can you say, really? That's just not true. Well, how can you prove it? What if you don't have the sources to show that it's not true? I mean, I can research, for example, arguments on creation science, but like, that only goes to a certain extent. You can only research so much before creationists will come up with some new, shiny, made-up argument, and then they'll try and pass that on as fact, and what can you say? That's not true. We haven't verified it. People don't find that wholeheartedly convincing. And I think that's one major weakness of many debates, is that you can't fact check right there and then. Now, I address you personally, ppsimmons. I may be subscribed to TLD. I may watch his videos, but that doesn't mean I agree with him. But here are a few reasons why I would not accept a debate challenge from ShockofGod, especially if you were moderating it. Firstly, you and ShockofGod have a rather long and ignominious history of censoring your channel. You remove comments, you block people, Sometimes you just outright disable ratings and comments altogether. And that to me does not signal open-mindedness. That to me just shows how close-minded you are, and is pretty much almost guaranteed a trait of someone who doesn't want to be reasoned with, is not someone who is open-minded, but just someone who wants to propagate himself and his agenda and his channel to others, and censor those who would speak against him. And I don't want to debate someone like that. Neither would any sensible person, for that matter. Second, neither of you two are educated in what you talk about. Technically, neither am I. So it would be perfectly fine, in my opinion, if we were to have a discussion or a debate. But the living dinosaur is educated. He has a PhD. So if you really think he's going to give you a platform of credibility, or at least if I were him, I would not give you a platform of credibility that you do fuck all to deserve, considering how your arguments and your quote-unquote evidence really doesn't hold a candle to what he presents. So I see zero reason why I or any other YouTuber, Living Dinosaur included, should engage with you two in a debate. Especially knowing your dishonest history on YouTube, and the fact that you guys just really want to propagate your agenda and not actually stick and listen to what the other side has to say and consider what the other side has to say. It's quite sad to me that both of you have quite a large following of sheep that suck up your material like a bunch of anemic vampires, but what can you do? Just know that I, along with many other YouTubers, have responded to the claims in your videos, and neither of you two have given it any attention. Not just my videos, mind you. You've not given any YouTuber, the Living Dinosaur included, the attention they deserve towards their arguments. You've just stuck to how the Living Dinosaur is dishonest, and how he's rude, and his language is very crude, blah, blah, blah. But I never saw a hint of addressing any of his arguments in your videos. And that, to me, hits the nail right on the fucking head. That's just the ultimate sign of dishonesty, because you can't answer our arguments. You can't show anything that suggests that what you profess to say is truth is actually true. So therefore, I don't see any reason why we should give you any more of our time. Thank you, and goodbye. May the truth always be heard.